Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to the ZX family. Another day, another market analysis update for you guys. I'm going to be switching the timing in terms of when I'm going to be uploading these market analysis update. We're still going to continue this segment. It's not that it's going away, but the timing is going to change. I'm going to start uploading it around this time. Let me know if this is a better time for you guys for the overall market analysis updates. But if you're looking across the board, guys, we're seeing a lot of bullish price momentum across the board. Pretty much over the last 3 days, market pretty much has picked up pretty much since the start of, month of December. The first day was a little choppy, but after that, we really started to see things really pick up. The Vanguard effect, if you want to put it that way, but we have a lot of things to talk about. Make sure you are, tuned in till the end. But as far as altcoins are concerned, look at it on a weekly time frame. You're starting to see a lot of coins, picking up traction today alone. You're seeing a lot of coins up, which again is a good thing. As far as the valuation for the broader market is concerned, we're looking at about $3.26 billion. If you want to put this into perspective, since November 30th, when we did see that market flush, we were sitting at about $3 trillion at that point on. So in the last 3 days alone, we've seen a $264.7 billion that has come back into the crypto markets, which again is not a small number by any means. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. As you guys know, the market analysis update, the main point of these updates is to kind of sit together, take a look at the broader market, take a look at Bitcoin, take a look at how altcoins are, doing. And you can see for yourself over the last 7 days, again, it hasn't even been the last 7 days, but you're starting to see the market, shifting back into the bullish trajectory. Bitcoin specifically looking amazing, and Ethereum really having a great time, up 6.4%. And just over the last 24 hours, it is up 5%, as you can see for yourself. But take a look at this here. Fed Watch now shows an 89.2% probability of a Federal Reserve rate cut in December. As we know, there is a FOMC meeting coming up. Are we going to see the market kind of see choppiness, or are you going to sell the news event is going to take place after the rate cut? Potentially, yes. So do be prepared for that once the FOMC week starts. But maybe the market is kind of pricing itself in, because where Bitcoin was literally sitting on November 30th, when we saw the retest below the 61.8. I think, this was obviously due to manipulation, as I've already highlighted to you guys before. In my opinion, there was no specific news that caused this. But again, in the monthly candle close happening the same day, it was the weekend, we did see quite a big swing. And in terms of liquidations, I've already shared with you guys, it was about 800 billion, I'm sorry, $800 million, not 800 billion. That would be absolutely crazy. But $800 million was liquidated. But what pretty much I'm trying to get at is, if we were still hovering around here, that's definitely not priced in for the FOMC rate cut. Now, as the price of Bitcoin is up quite substantially, if you want to put this into perspective, we're actually up about 12% over the course of the last 2.5 days, to be exact. That itself is a big move for Bitcoin. And now you could make the statement whether or not, we are priced in, especially even if we continue to go up. We are up quite a bit. So we might see some choppiness, maybe the week of the FOMC meeting, or what we have seen in the past. So again, that's something to kind of keep in mind. But take a look at this, guys. The biggest news here, and starting to look like 2026 is going to be a big year for crypto, because we're seeing major institutional interest coming in towards the crypto industry. And now you're seeing Charles Schwab, I'm sorry, and of course, Vanguard, was on Monday, where they're allowing ETF exposure for their clientele, which again itself is a big move. But you can see Charles Schwab, it's a $12 trillion company, and you could see is about to eat everything in crypto, launching in early 2026. So pretty much what they said is they're finally stepping into crypto, and not in a small way. They're planning to let users trade spot Bitcoin and Ethereum in the first half of 2026, right from the same accounts they already use for stocks and ETFs. This is a big game changer because Charles Schwab is one of the big names when it comes to the financial sector. A lot of people are aware of it. And again, 12 trillion brokerage itself. We're not talking about small numbers. So you can see, once they add crypto, millions of people who were hesitant suddenly have a clean, familiar way to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum without downloading a new app or learning a new process. So, we always talk about institutional capital flowing in. We're already seeing that with the ETF numbers. With the ETF numbers, what XRP has been able to achieve in such a short span of time, it just tells you that there is interest, for these digital assets. And there's even though we're starting to see, oh, ETF's been live for such a long time, but some people only trade with certain platforms. So now, slowly but surely, a lot of platforms are, coming on board because, again, in terms of regulatory clarity, there's a lot of regulatory clarity coming towards the crypto industry, which itself, gives not only investors more confidence, but even institutions coming on board and, financial services companies to actually offer crypto to their clientele. So big things, of course. Take a look at this. Talking about ETFs, another day, another ETF that has went live, and in this time it was Chainlink. Grayscale is pretty much ahead of the curve when it comes to these ETF filings. Grayscale and Bitwise. So you can see, the new Grayscale spot Chainlink ETF did really solid volume on day one of $13 million. That is insane. And that's about, in terms of inflows, that was $41 million in inflows on day one for Chainlink. Very, very impressive. But when you kind of look into Chainlink, again, it's not a new kid on the block. It's been there for quite some time, has that real world use case, major partnerships around the globe. And that itself is, telling you that the interest, of course, there's a lot of people that were sidelined, especially from the big players that were eyeing Chainlink. And now, it is really being seen when it comes to the inflows. $41 million on day one. Again, it's not a small number by any means. So, shout out to the Chainlink community. I'm going to make a Chainlink separate update for you guys as well. I've been seeing the comments, but take a look at this. Bitcoin reserves on Binance are dropping as investors are shifting to self custody and ETFs absorb supply, signaling bullish reaccumulation. Here we have it once again. Pretty much what this means is more money is going off of the exchanges. Usually, when this happens, it's pretty much signaling long term accumulation. And, once you do see a surge in the exchange reserves, a lot of people depositing their bitcoins on the exchange, that could signal that maybe profit taking is going to happen. But again, from a Bitcoin standpoint, a lot of people taking Bitcoin off of the exchanges, and want to self custody for long haul, because of course that is kind of signaling the overall sentiment on Bitcoin side of things. But again, speaking about self custody, very important, first and foremost, but you want to learn how to self custody, so make sure you're doing your research on that. And again, if you're in crypto for the long haul, make sure you have your coins off of the exchanges. I cannot stress that enough. But again, you got to do your due diligence research and, look into the different self custody options. There's a lot, but, make sure you learn about that. You just don't want to just completely like just buy yourself like a ledger or, a Trezor. There's so many in nowadays. Now, you obviously have to, first research, look into it, look into how you can stay away from a lot of scams, so on and so forth. And then once you know the right product is for you, make sure you self custody your assets. I cannot stress this enough. But with that said, let's take a look at what's happening with the broader markets. Dominance is what I want you guys to be paying very close attention to. We've seen a very, very sharp pullback for the dominance, which is very impressive. Again, we've seen major swings for the dominance before. It's not that, dominance, this is the first time it's pulling down sharply like this. Let me just take you guys back down to November. We've seen major swings, as you could see for yourself. So this isn't nothing new. But again, if it continues to pull down, if it's able to drop below 59.13%, we could start heading back down to the likes of 58.96% and, pretty much retesting, where we were just at the end of November. And if Bitcoin continues to, show positive price action and dominance continues to show weakness, you're going to see altcoins gaining traction. As far as Bitcoin is concerned, time and time out, I've been highlighting this to you guys. Bitcoin is back in the 0.50 fib zone 2 days in a row where we're actually able to see Bitcoin close the daily candle above that key range. And, we're having having a little bit of a hard time breaking out at $93,780. If this is able to break out, Bitcoin could push up to 96K key range. So, leading into the FOMC meeting, we could see, Bitcoin, if it's able to break out of this key resistance, like I said, Bitcoin could actually push towards the upside. But the day or 2 days before the FOMC meeting, we actually might see a market pullback, because based off of what I've seen in the past with the FOMC meeting, the sell the news event does take place. So you do expect volatility closer to then. But again, let me know in the comments down below what you guys personally think. In terms of altcoins, obviously, if we're able to break out of this key range, I would expect altcoins to follow. And again, you're seeing actually a lot of double-digit gainers for a lot of altcoins over the last 48 hours as well. But again, you got to take it step by step. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you so much for all the love that you guys show, and we'll see you later. It's been Crypto ZX, and peace.